Welcome to Columbus Report on Waycross Community Media. I'm Government Programming Coordinator Dana Gagnon, and this is the program where we connect you to what's happening in state government. Today, I want to take just a moment to highlight how you can find out what kinds of legislation our elected representatives and senators are working on. From our southwest corner of Ohio, the State House in Columbus can feel far away and disconnected from our daily lives. And unless the local news picks up a particular press release, it sometimes feels like there's no way to know what's going on up at the State House. So before we go any further, I want to share some ways that you can stay connected on your own. Let's talk about our state government's website, ohio.gov. Anything related to Ohio's state government can be found on this site, from state history to budgets to voting information and much more. I'm going to take you down into the weeds for just a minute so that I can show you one way you can feel like you can see what's happening day to day in Columbus. From this main page, I'm going to head over to the Government tab. And today, we'll look at the legislative section to find out what's happening in the State House. You'll see I can look at the Ohio House of Representatives, the Ohio Senate, great tabs to find out who represents my own district and how I can contact them. And then here there's a Search Legislation and Resolutions box. I'm going to click the Ohio Legislature box because I want to show you the calendar. Here's a quick link to it. So you can see all of the committees that have been meeting. Now you can also use quick links here to look at lists of the different committees in the House and in the Senate. But I like seeing the activity on the calendar and what's happening right now. You can see the calendar is color-coded. House meetings are red, Senate meetings are blue, and there are joint meetings on here that are a tan color. When you click on a meeting, you can see its agenda. Here's the agenda for the Workforce and Higher Education Committee that met on Wednesday, November 16th. You can see the topics they're scheduled to discuss, and you can see who the sponsors are for each of those topics. Now, here's the really great part. The Ohio Channel records those meetings. So even if we couldn't drive up to Columbus to watch, and even if we couldn't watch a live stream of the meeting at exactly 12:45 on a Wednesday, we can still watch a recording of what was said. So when I headed over to the Ohio Channel's website, and I just typed workforce into the search box, I found their recording of this specific meeting, and now I can find out the details about those agenda items. The Ohio Channel website is worth bookmarking because they stream and archive House and Senate sessions, committee sessions, and Governor DeWine's press announcements. As a side note, the Ohio Channel also has a YouTube page where they post their own productions, highlighting Ohio history and arts and various other things. Okay, that's enough of our trip into the weeds of the ohio.gov website. Now you know one way you can see what committees are meeting and what they're talking about and how you can listen in. So let's take a few minutes now to look at one of those items on that Workforce and Higher Education Committee agenda we just saw. Our own local state representative, Jessica Miranda of the 28th District, is one of the sponsors of the Testing Your Faith Act. This bill, HB 353, has passed the House, and Wednesday was its first hearing in the Senate committee. Let's take a minute and listen to just that part of the committee meeting.
In that same vein, we're going to very quickly move on to, House Bill 353 to help Miranda and Click get over to their session. Representatives, thank you so much for coming, and we'll move through this as quickly as we can also.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, Vice Chair Serino, Ranking Member Martin, and members of the Senate Workforce and Higher Education Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on House Bill 353, the Bipartisan Testing Your Faith Act. This legislation would codify reasonable accommodations to allow college students of all faiths to balance their religious obligations with their academic studies. Any person of faith knows that each year there are occasions when they must prioritize their religious obligations. While many college professors appreciate this and provide the necessary accommodations to their students, there is currently no requirement that they do so. Specifically, the Testing Your Faith Act does the following. It requires that Ohio colleges and universities create a policy to accommodate the sincerely held religious belief and practices of students in regards to exams and other academic requirements by allowing a student to be absent up to 3 days a semester for reasons of faith or conscience. Second, it prohibits institutions of higher education from imposing an academic penalty as a result of a student's absence under this policy. Thirdly, it requires that students who miss exams or other academic obligations as a result of these absences must be provided with alternate accommodations. And lastly, it requires students to provide instructors with a written notice of the specific dates they will be absent within the first 14 days of an academic course. Furthermore, the Testing Your Faith Act requires a higher education institute to post a copy of the policy on a prominent location on its website. This must include a non-exhaustive list of major religious holidays or festivals for the next 2 academic years developed by the Chancellor of Higher Education. The Chancellor must provide each institution with that list at the beginning of each academic school year. House Bill 353 passed the House, with an overwhelming majority of support. This legislation allows opportunity to ensure all our higher education students have one less burden by passing the Testing Your Faith Act to level set and to be truly inclusive of the religious freedoms our country was founded upon. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify, and I will turn it over to my gracious joint sponsor, Representative Gary Click.
Thank you, Representative Miranda. And it is a joy to be able to bring to you a piece of bipartisan legislation that has support on both sides of the aisle. I will also tell you that we have spoken with the administration who is supportive, and that includes Chancellor Rodney Gardner in our conversations, and we have worked diligently with them to make sure that this is something that meets all needs. I try not to repeat some of the things that my good colleague has already said, but this policy provides students with terrific religious accommodations. Diversity in Ohio comes in many forms, and that includes religious diversity. Students in our universities come with a variety of Christian denominations, Jewish traditions, Muslim sects, and other systems of belief. The one force that should unite all faiths is religious freedom. Individuals pursuing higher education often face many necessary challenges and stressors that actually build character and confidence, and that's good for them. However, one conflict that they should not have to face is the decision between academic excellence and religious fidelity. And we believe that this bill addresses that sufficiently with the safeguards that Representative Miranda has already addressed, because I know during my college days, prayer was very important around testing times, and we don't want people to all at once need a religious accommodation the day before a test. But we have safeguards in there to make sure that these are legitimate concerns and legitimate expressions of religious needs and desires. So thank you so much, Chairman Johnson, Vice Chair Serino, Ranking Member Martin, and members of the committee. I appreciate your consideration today, and we are ready to take any questions.
You're very welcome. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming today. That'll be our first hearing.
This bill, the Testing Your Faith Act, has bipartisan support and passed the House unanimously last spring. The primary sponsors are Representatives Gary Click, a Sandusky County Republican who is a Baptist pastor, and our local Jessica Miranda, a Democrat from the 28th District. Cleveland.com reports that Ohio Jewish Communities, which represents the state's 8 Jewish federations, asked Click and Miranda to sponsor the bill because some students had difficulty in choosing between school and observing holy days. In addition to Ohio Jewish Communities, the Ohio chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations provided testimony in favor of the bill, and representatives of Ohio University Jewish organizations Hillel, and Shabbat also testified in favor of the bill. Now that this bill has left the House and started its journey in the Senate, we'll be keeping an eye on its next step, as well as everything else happening in Columbus. Thanks for watching Columbus Report on Waycross Community Media, and we'll see you next time.